God, hallowed be the name. Faithful God, you are worthy to receive all the praise. For you alone, you're the
Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. I would like to take this wonderful opportunity to welcome all of us to this married class. It's great to be married. I hope we are enjoying our marriages despite the challenges. Marriage is not a bed of roses. There are a few thorns, not many, but a few thorns in there. But that should not take our enjoyment away. So it's great to be here. This is Mike and Liz Odwallo. We are going to be hosting you guys today, and we are going to be assisted by a wonderful couple, and that is Samson and Judith Monda. They are in the house. We are going to get to see them at the proper time.
Yes, hello everyone. It's really nice that we can be able to be here together, host this workshop. And we are learning just as we're sharing, probably we'll be sharing most of our lives and also just God's word. And we are really, really excited to learn from you as we also just get to share. So thank you so much for logging in. Thank you so much, Karibuni, and hope we're going to have a great time together.
Okay, so before we continue, I would like to welcome the Mondas. Samson,
all right.
If you guys are there.
No, we are here actually. We are here. I hope somebody can see me up there
Yes.
somewhere.
Yes,
Yes.
So we are grateful to be here. My wife has stepped out, but she is coming back shortly.
Yes.
I'm happy to see Alan and Kate. It's good to see you guys. Actually, I'm happy to see it's Ala Kate. I think I love that. I'm happy to see my own brother Shad here. I don't know why he's wearing that thing, scaring us, but we are happy to see everybody. Mike, back to you. We are all together.
I know in the past few weeks, we've been going through some classes. We've had, I think, like 3 or so married classes, which have really been great. And because of that, there was a need that we need to get more specific with certain age groups. And that is what informed the fact that we needed to have the young marrieds. And so a class has just been finished that was taking the age of 5 years and below. And then we are doing the class that is taking the ages between 5 to 15. Now that is a big span. And last week we had the class of 15 and above. Those were the veterans. So it was also just great. Now, a disclaimer is that it's no harm in you joining all those classes.
Yeah.
You can actually join all of them. Because like school, you'll just be dealing with the foundation, and then like you go to primary school, then you go to high school, and then you go to secondary school. In fact, you'll actually realize that they are the same things. If it is algebra, algebra cuts across from primary school to high school to university. It's only that at university you get deeper into those things. The topics might be the same. And so even for us, really the topics might be the same, but we might be talking about them in a deeper way. And so whatever the topic that we'll choose, they might be common in both those classes, but we felt like we can go deeper, and considering the ages that we've gathered in our marriages, it's definitely something that is worth it. So for those of us who are married between 5 to 10, congratulations. It is a great victory that you guys have had. They actually say that most marriages break below 5, actually in 2 years. So you guys have weathered that storm, and you are here between 6 and 5. That is really something big. And those of us who are between 10 and 15, it is wonderful. You guys have done such a great milestone, and that is really something great. And finally, those who are above 15, definitely they have also been able to do something great.
My name is Liz Odwallo. We have 2 children. Jessica is turning 15 around October, and Noble is 12 now. And so being married and trying to be a parent, not trying, actually making every effort to be a parent of teenagers is not easy, but we thank God. So today we'll be sharing not from our strength, but just what we've been learning, and knowing that it's only when we trust God that He can be able to see us through, no matter what. So today we'll just be sharing some things we've learned over the few years we've been married, because I know that 17 years compared to people who've been married 20, 30, 40, 50 is not is nothing, you know. But so today we'll just be sharing some of those lessons that we've learned. Some of them we are still learning them. We've still not arrived. We still find ourselves wondering, wow, is this so and so? You know, is this the person I got married to? Is this the sweet person? You know, so today we'll be sharing a lot. And so, yes.
Amen. Thank you. So, just going back a bit, the wonder of marriage. I know that is the series that we are hoping that we'll be taking in the next coming weeks. And so everything else we are thinking of doing will fall under the wonder of marriage, because we actually believe that marriage is a wonder. You know, we all know we've heard about the 7 wonders of the ancient world. These days, there are many other wonders that have come that are surpassing the ancient world, but there were the 7 wonders of the ancient world. I'm not privileged to have a classroom that I can go asking different questions, but you could have asked, what are the 7 wonders of the world that you know of? Now, today I want to tell you that marriage is maybe the 8th wonder of the world, if not the first wonder, because it is really, really a wonder. And maybe the question that I would ask you, what is marriage? Again, you can define that to your spouse, or you can type it in our chat box and just tell me, in your own understanding, what do you think marriage is? If you are to define your marriage in your own language, in your own mother tongue, in your own, the way you understand it, leave alone what we read in the dictionaries. Now that you have been married for over 5 years, close to 15, 16 years, what would your definition of marriage be? That is something that is worth asking. Now, there is this definition that thrilled me, and I just said, wow. Whatever the definition you've given, I think that passes. I would want you to mark it and give it 5/5, because whatever the definition you give should pass as marriage, now that you are giving that definition out of experience. But this is what this man said. Marriage is an institution in which 2 sinful and contentious people are caught up in a dream and a purpose that is bigger than themselves. And in spite of repeated disappointment over the times and years, they always strive to make their dream come true. Now, there are several words that I've highlighted in blue, and those are the things that is just good to notice as we continue, that when we get married, we are not marrying angels. We are marrying 2 sinful people. And our sinful nature is to be competitive. And that is the word contentious comes in. We are always in antagonism kind of thing, because the world teaches us survival for the fittest, and this can easily come in. And then we are caught in a dream. There is something that you dreamed for before you got married. There is a way you used to look at marriage before you got it. Here we have it. And then this thing has a purpose that is bigger than yourself. You know, sometimes we just get to think about marriage and we just think about ourselves. But the dream of marriage, when God created Adam and Eve and gave Eve to Adam, he had a bigger dream. And that dream has brought us forth. Yours is a dream. You might know it, you might not know it, but it's a bigger dream. And then, in spite of repeated disappointments. How many of us have never been disappointed in their marriage? Wow, that is such a wonderful marriage. I would love to be in that marriage where there is no disappointment. Now, we all get disappointed. Over the times, over the years, man, sometimes you get married, after 2-3 months, you're just feeling like, man, did I get married to the right person? And then he's saying, they always, and I have underlined the word they, because it takes two to strive to make their dream. Again, not his dream, not her dream, but our dream, their dream to come true. So before we continue, let's say a prayer, and then we'll continue. Almighty Father, thank you. Thank you so much this afternoon that we have men and women who are striving to make it, oh Lord, in marriage. We thank you, God, that we know that we are sinful people, yet you've called us to a dream that is bigger than ourselves. That, Father, despite the repeated disappointments that we always have, that your goal is that we'll never give up on each other, but that we'll always strive to make this bigger dream come true. I pray that, Lord, even as we go through this class in a small way, you are going to help us to take care of us, and finally, to help us be the very best that we can be for you. Thank you. In Jesus' name, I do pray and believe. Amen.
As we continue, this group between 5 years and 14 years, as we were thinking of coming to share this class, we asked ourselves, what is going on in this stage in life? And there are several things that we thought about. You know, after 5 years, now most of us, the honeymoon is kind of over, you know, and the reality of being married now has set in. And now this is a time that we are like, wow, okay, so now I am married. This is the time that decisions are being made, very serious decisions. This is the time that some of us are expecting, we start expecting, or maybe we've already expected and now we have children, and not maybe 1, 2, or 3 children at this stage, or even 4, you know,
even 5.
Exactly. And at this stage, we're dealing with not just the 2 of us, you know, some of us eat with the children. At this stage, for us sisters, you know, we're no longer the young girl that we used to be when we were dating, you know, when we were, you know, things have changed. You know, some of us, our bodies, you know, because of pregnancies and all that, you know, things have changed, you know, breastfeeding. There are just so many things that have come. You know, some of us, we have to balance between taking the kids to school, you know, and going to work, you know, sleepless nights, because sometimes we are not able to sleep because of the children, and just the many things change. You know, right now we're making decisions on where will we settle finally, you know, because we can see that, okay, wow, we have a future to go. So we are making huge decisions about life, you know, finances and all that. And so this is a very important stage in life or in marriage, because we've actually now gone to the next level, you know, the next stage in life.
Amen. And so we ask the question, really, the wonder of marriage. What really does it mean? When we actually talk about marriage being a wonder, marriage is considered to be this wonderful house that has been fully furnished by God himself. And it's given to us for our enjoyment. However, Not many couples get to enjoy all the beauty of this wonderful home. There are facilities that some of us may never ever get to. In this series, we are going to learn how to make a master key. Not many of them, but just one that is going to help us open all the doors that we have and give us access to all the rooms, so that we can be able to enjoy the wonderful marriage as God intended it to be, and also as God designed it to be. Now, look at that. That is a wonderful house. The amazing thing is that we all have this gift given by God. So when we're talking about our marriages fully furnished, this is what you have. This is the wedding gift that you are given. You decided to be joined together and say, I do. Now, this house has everything in it. And when you get married, you are not handed over the keys. That is the only big task, that the key is for you to forge. So you work together, you open the gate. You work together, you open the sitting room. You work together, the bedroom 1, bedroom 2, the kitchen, the toilet, everything. And so if you work hard, by the time we are 15 years, we actually should be occupying the whole place and enjoying every bit of this house. But it's unfortunate that sometimes, because of the challenges that we go through in our marriages, we are not able to enjoy this beautiful home. And so unfortunately, some of us, instead of staying in the bedroom, we are sleeping in the sitting room. Some of us they only got to manage to open the kitchen, and so they are doing everything in the kitchen. And some of us may be in the bathroom, and we are locked out of all these other facilities. I do not know for you. Maybe you are the only one who can be able to let us know which one exactly, which room are you enjoying? How many rooms have you been able to open? It is my hope that we've actually opened several. Okay, so what is Solomon saying? Songs of Solomon, chapter 2, verses 15. Catch for us the little foxes. Those foxes, the little ones that ruin our vineyard that are in bloom. Now, this lady was looking and is saying, wow, please help us out, because something is going wrong here. I am seeing certain things that are destroying us. They are not so big. They are too small ones, but they are causing havoc. The things that bring marriages down are not huge things. They are small things. But when those small things are so many, they overwhelm us. And so at the end of the day, we are not able to enjoy the great facility that we had. And so this lady was saying, please help us enjoy by catching to us those little foxes that are driving us crazy. And so in the next few weeks, as God would allow us, we are going to dwell and discover the wonders of marriage. I am hoping that by the time we are done, that we would be enjoying such a wonderful, wonderful marriage. And so we have the first task.
So now, as we start our task, would like to give us a few minutes to just write some 5 expectations you had when you were getting married. Actually, maybe 2 minutes, yeah? When you were getting married, I know, at least for me, when I was getting married, I had all these expectations. Now, it's good for us to go back to when we started. You know, what are these 5 expectations you had when you were getting married? Now, how many of those expectations have been realized up to this point? Those expectations that you had. And are there any surprises? You know, because If they've not been met, then maybe we've been surprised. So you can give us just 2 minutes to write it down, and we can be able to come back after 2 minutes.
Okay. Thank you for taking that exercise. That would be a good exercise to evaluate even as we go along, because we all come with the different expectations. It would be good to get to know, so what is my expectation, and how far have we gone, and are there some surprises that have come? I would really love to get to know how we answer those questions. Now, today, we are gonna dive on this topic of acceptance, because we really felt that this is a huge thing. Now, from the face value, we can easily think, wow, this may be for a topic for the newlyweds, because when people have just been married, man, we've been married for all these years. You want to tell me that I've not accepted my spouse and all that? Now, we have 6 things to be able to analyze in this topic. The first thing is self-acceptance. We'll talk about accepting ourselves. The second thing is accepting your marriage. The third thing is accepting that you are partners. The fourth thing is accepting that you are different. The fifth thing is accepting that love is expressed differently because of the differences that we have. And finally, to accept the very hard and tough task that maybe there are some things that might never, ever change. Accepting yourself is key. In the book of Mark, chapter 12, verses 31, the Bible tells us that we need to love God with all our heart, with everything that we have. And then the second command is to love your neighbor as you love yourself. So there is an expectation that we already love ourselves. And God is saying, now, just the way you love yourself, you should go ahead and love other people. Why are we saying that? It is because the more you love and appreciate yourself, the stronger your marriage will be. We all desire unconditional love, but that unconditional love, you can only give it first to yourself, then you can give it to your partner. Because the truth is, you cannot give what you do not have. If you get somebody who does not love themselves, this person will not love other people. If you get a wife that does not love herself, this woman will be so insecure, she will not appreciate her husband, and vice versa. It's the same. So we must love ourselves. Self-love is key for any successful marriage. It is not a luxury, it is actually a necessity. Loving yourself without judgment or condition is the greatest cornerstone from which you can build a serious, loving, and long-lasting relationship with your spouse. So if you do not love yourself, then it might quite be challenging to do that.
Yeah, this is a very important part of acceptance. And as we continue, one of the things that we realized when we get married, the first thing that many people or many women, we have like a mission is to change the other person. You know, we just feel like, man, I wish he was like this. I wish he was like this. I wish my marriage was different. I wish, you know, but we have to actually reach a point that we accept that, you know what, this is how things are, you know. And one of the things that we realize is the reason why we don't accept ourselves is because of insecurity. you know, and maybe I wanted to talk a little bit about this as sisters, you know, because at the age of 5 to 15, you know, that's the age that mostly, and even later on, many things are changing, even in our bodies. And it's so easy for us to be so insecure. And when we are insecure, it's easy for it to spill, you know, into the marriage, you know, because we feel like, man, maybe he didn't mention, he didn't say, I look beautiful. I remember, you know, at some point, especially after I got the children, you know, I was already feeling so insecure about how I was looking, you know. And so if my husband would not say I'm looking nice, you know, that dress is looking nice or something like that, it would really make me be insecure. And I realized that that is one of the times that in a season in our marriage that we really struggled, you know, when our children were younger, and I was just feeling like my body's changed, you know, things have changed, do your breastfeeding and all that, you know. And so that's one of the places that our marriages can really be affected. And so accepting ourselves is accepting that, you know what, whatever the season, I need to be able to accept who I am, you know, and realize that in Psalms 139, you know, the Bible says in verse 14 that I am fearfully and wonderfully made. And so if I appreciate that about me, then, you know, I'll take whatever comes. You know, there are times he'll say, I'm looking great. There are times he will not say, but I'll be okay with myself. You know, because when we are insecure, we actually can become very controlling, and we become very unsettled, and so many things are happening. Now, part of accepting myself is having self-care, taking care of myself, you know, where I eat healthy, I exercise, so that I can be able to feel good about myself. Because this age also, it's so easy for us to just leave everything, you know, you just feel like, you know, whatever, you know, but it's important for us to be able to do whatever it takes, you know, have those healthy habits, you know, that can be able to help, you know. So some of the things I started doing was to take that lemon water in the morning, you know, just things that can be able to help me, for me first, before it goes to the marriage, you know. So where we take care of ourselves physically, we take care of ourselves emotionally, you know, because also during this time, it can also, emotionally, it can be very draining. It can be very draining. You know, some of the things we've even had to deal with at this age is sometimes you even find yourself, you're expecting, you had not planned for it. You know, there are just so many things that come during this season. And so emotionally, we have to be able to keep taking care of ourselves mentally, you know, so where we talk, you know, if we need to journal, whatever it is that we need to do so that we can be able to accept ourselves, you know. And definitely spiritually, where I'm able to take care of myself spiritually, you know, I'm able to walk with God. I'm focusing on just my relationship with God, because if I am doing well in my relationship with God, then it will be able to spill again over to the children and to my husband. Yeah, so it's good to face the woman in the mirror, or, you know, if it's the man, and just be able to love myself the way God desires.
Amen. So that is great. It's good for us to take care of ourselves. And I believe the men also, we need to take care of ourselves. Going to the gym will help you be more handsome. And once you feel good about yourself, then you will also, and not just the gym alone, you can be exercising and just doing every other things. And you know, sometimes when we are just there, the pot starts to protrude, and you want to, now you don't want to take photos because you feel that you are getting something is being seen that should not be seen. Just love yourself enough to take care of yourself. Once you are feeling good about yourself, then you can be able to give to somebody else. But there is a disclaimer here. In the book of Romans, the Bible is telling us in chapter 12 from verses 3 that do not think of yourself more highly than you ought. Now, there are people who can take this far and they cross the boundary. Remember, when you love yourself too much, what do we call that? It's selfishness, isn't it? Yeah. So we are not saying that we want people to grow to be selfish. No, we are saying as Christians especially that we have a boundary. Do not think of yourself more highly than you ought, but be sober in your judgment and in accordance with the faith that God has distributed to each and every one of us. Let's keep some healthy boundaries in whatever it is that God has given us. Let us not overdo it. Let us just love each other. Let us love ourselves, and so be in very good books.
Exactly. Now, the next task we're going to do is to list 5 things that you love about yourself. You know, it's important for us to be able to appreciate 5 things that you appreciate about yourself. You know, that you value, that because most of the times we naturally don't like thinking about things we like about ourselves, but it's important for us to do that. And 2 things that we dislike about ourselves. It's also good to be honest with ourselves and accept that, wow, yeah, I know there are all these great things about me, but I know that there are also these 2. We actually ask for 2 because it's easier to get the dislikes. So let's just focus on 2. And then the second thing is list 5 things that you love about your spouse. Again, it's important for us to sit and focus and just, because this age, again, it's so easy to focus on the kids and what needs to be done and really not focus on what about my spouse? By the way, what do I like about him? What do I love? You know, and 2 things that you dislike about him, or 2 things that you would appreciate if they worked on or they changed, you know. Yeah, so are there any surprises again? So we can have 2 minutes to be able to just write that down.
I can rock the boat, whatever you say, will surely come to pass. And the nation of remain, every day goes by. Oh, unchangeable, reliable, only you can do, what's the man can do, unchangeable, reliable, only you can do. Everybody say unchangeable, reliable, only you can do, what's the man can do, unchangeable, reliable, only you can do. There is nothing, absolutely nothing. There is nothing impossible unto you.
Okay, I hope that we are done with the assignment. We can definitely do it in details later on. This is just like a tip of the iceberg. You can go and just discuss. Later on, at some point, you'd want to actually just find out and talk to one another. I wrote these 5 things about you. It's good to, we used to tell each other some of those things, those days we were dating. That's actually why you ended up in the same house. So we need to still remember and say some of these things we love about each other. And also it's very key to know what are your strengths. Many times we labor so much on working on our weaknesses, but it is also good to just work on those strengths. Those strengths boost you to even be a greater person and to be a greater man or a greater woman. So it is good to recognize what are your strengths and be happy about them, boast about them, because that is your package, the package you are bringing into this marriage. Okay, now the number 2 thing that we need to do is to accept the fact that you are married. As funny as it might look, we need to accept that we are married, because a married person is different from a single person. Now that we've been married for these years, have you accepted that, by the way, this is where I am, it is until death do us part. Or is one of your leg in and one of your leg out? After 10 years of marriage, are you still threatening that I'll pack my things and go back home? Every time if there is a small disagreement, you are saying that, oh man, I'll go. I do not want to continue staying here anymore. I got married to the wrong person. Or, this is not what I expected. It is important to accept that fact that you are married. The other thing we need to accept is to accept that we are partners in it. We are equal partners. And I'll qualify that because I know some men, I can see already are looking at me. What do you mean that we are equal partners? Because we all have equal shares, so to say. God has given us equal shares. Now, let us not confuse that with responsibilities, because we have the same shares, but we can have different responsibilities. And so it is very, very important to note that we are married and that we have equal shares, even though we may have different responsibility. In the book of Genesis, chapter 2, verses 24 to 25, wonderful message. Maybe this was the message that was read to you during your wedding. For those of us who are privileged to do a wedding. What does the Bible say? For this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united with his wife, and they will become one flesh. So the question I would want to ask us, did we leave, or are we still under our parents? That after 10 years of marriage, our parents are still controlling our marriages. After 10 years of marriage, there are some people that are still controlling our marriages, or we've not left. Living and cleaving is something that is very, very key. When you accept that you are married at 10 years old, it is a no-go issue. And so if that is where you guys are, you need to pat yourself in the back and say, hey, sweet, we've done well, because it's long since I had that, oh, I want to go back home, or I would want to do this. And I'm confident that many of us have made that stride. But in case you've not, then again, you do not need to crucify yourself, because that is why we are here, and that's why we are learning these things in hope that we will get 1 or 2 lessons to learn and get to move on.
I think on that, teamwork is very important. As you're saying, accepting that you're married is it's just actually about us knowing that we are teammates. You know, in marriage, one of the things we have a conviction about in our marriage is that if there is no one who wins, you know, because if one of us feels like, yes, I won that maybe when we're having a disagreement, and one person feels like I have to win this thing, I have to win it, then we've actually both lost. You know, we are actually on the same team. You know, one of the things Satan does is he makes us fight one another. You know, it's like we become the enemies, yet he is the enemy. You know, so we are supposed to be fighting against him, not against one another. And so when we accept that we are married, as Mike is saying, there is no threats. You know, one of the things we actually sat down at some point and agreed that it's a no-no in our marriage. You know, the way we normally tell our kids, that's a no-no, that's a no-no, you know, and also there are some no-nos in marriage. And some of our no-nos is to say that I regret being married. You know, that's a no-no, a big no-no in marriage. You know, because when we say such things, you know, even if later on we resolve, you already said it and it affects, you know, words are very powerful. So there are those things that it's important for us to ask ourselves, have I accepted, or am I still struggling and threatening that I regret being married, or I wish, you know, I didn't make this decision? Because those are the things that so easily will destroy because we've not accepted. You know, they are the things that show that we've not accepted. So it's important for us to be able to accept that I am married and there is nowhere I'm going. Because if we think that way, then even if we have issues, we work towards dealing with those issues. We are not thinking, I think I have another option. There is no option but to stay. Definitely, unless there is abuse, which we need to get help. But as Christians, you know, which we are speaking to Christians, most of us, there is no option.
Now, the third thing that we need to accept is accept that we are different. We are different. Nobody gets married to somebody that they are the same. When you go to supermarket or to a barter shop to buy some shoes, you do not buy two pairs that are identical. You actually buy a pair that are similar, but they are not identical. Because if you get identical shoes, you will not put them on. They will not fit. One will fit, the other one will not fit. So the same with our marriages. We cannot be the same. In fact, for all of us now, we should actually realize that the people who are like you never got far with them. You actually deferred the first date. There are times you go with them on a date, and from that one go, you just say, no, not this one. You are so sure that this is not the person you are gonna get married to. And that was it. Because there are certain things, just the way God created us, that there are just certain things that do not fix together. And so you are not able to tell. So we must accept that we are different. And our differences shows up in so many things. In our personalities, in our culture, in our upbringing, in our education, and so many other things. And unfortunately, when these things are not accepted within us, then we go through what we call pet peeves, some of the different fights that we go through. So it is important that we get to accept our differences. Now, something very interesting, when we were courting, it was those differences that brought us together. You actually loved the person. You go out on a date and maybe the brother was not talking as much. And so maybe if the sister is talkative, the brother was just like, and you love that because for the first time you got somebody who would be able to listen to you and not say many things. Now you are married and you actually think things now. This guy is keeping quiet. Me, I don't even know what he's thinking.
Yeah, I think that's actually very familiar. Yeah, I know with this accepting that we are different, we are very different. Okay, not identical, but different. Okay, now
similar, but not
similar,
identical.
but yes. Now, I think one of the things that definitely attracted me to my husband is he's quiet, he's cool, he's you know, he's technical, he thinks, you know, and he won't say much. But I think when we got married, and maybe after our 5th, 6th, 10th year, you know, there are times I just want him to talk and he's not talking. And there are times I would just feel like, hello, you know, I wish you would just say what's in your mind, you know. And we actually started laughing about it when we realized that some of those things that would attract us to each other, because for him, he liked the way I would talk. But now he feels like, can you just keep quiet and give me space? You know, there are those things you just need space, you know. And one of the things I love is traveling, going shopping, and, you know, I just love going out and just spending time, you know. And Mike he doesn't just like it at all. He gets depressed, you know, by going around and just idling. Actually, for him, he feels like, if it's to go to the supermarket, why don't we just go have a list of what you want to buy, go pick what you're picking, and go, you know, and go home. And I'm thinking, no, I'm not buying. I just want to see what's out there, what's in the market. And that would actually just bring issues, you know. And we have actually had to accept, okay, we are just different, you know. At some point, we would really, there is a time we would really feel like, no, this is just too much, you know, why can't you do this? But I think as time goes by, we are like, okay, yeah, I think this is just who we are, and we've got to accept. Mike will accept that I love going out, you know, even if I don't have money, just go out, you know, and I like it when we go together, apparently. Yeah, so accepting that we are different is one of the very big key. Otherwise, it can be a fight every time. Every time I want to go out, you know, it can be a big fight. But I thank God that as time goes by, we have to keep talking about it. We have to keep, sometimes I'm so happy when he agrees, you know, like, wow, let's go, you know. And you can see it's really not his thing, but he's doing it for me. So I think also accepting that you're different is to try and get into somebody else's world. You know, knowing that this person has a world that makes their world tick. And that's not my world, you know. And he, like now, one of the other thing is watching movies. You know, I love just relaxing with a movie. He just feels like, okay, Ati, okay, can we just watch Nat Geo World? You know, he likes Nat Geo World and, you know, and sports, you know. And so what we've had to do is to sit, there are times I just sit when he's watching his Nat Geo World and try, and even if I'm not concentrating so much, just try and understand this world that really gives him the strength, you know, to be able to, because he really enjoys some of those things. So it's important for us to be able to get into the other person's world. You know, also in this accepting that we are different is also to know that there are love languages, you know, that people understand love in a different way.
Yeah.
You know, meaning the way I express love might be the way personally that's my language, but for Mike, that is so totally different. And so I know that that's a topic for another day, but it's important for us to know what is the love language for my spouse, and can I be able to speak it? Because I can be like, for me, it's quality time. That's not him. And so I just love it when I go to his room, to the room, and we just talk. For him, it's service, you know, and so what I have to do is to learn to serve him, you know. So it's good for you to know what is the love language for my spouse and how can I be able to speak it. Yeah, so those 5 love languages, I hope we know them, but you can be able to talk more in details. They are it's very great to get to the other person's world.
Yeah, we put that book there. I know many of us know it. So in case you want to dive deeper in that, it would really spice your marriage. You can look for it. These days we have ebooks. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Audible and many other places, and the many likes. So it's also good to invest on such books. You can just have they will help you grow in a great way in your marriage. It also have for children. So I think that is just great. Yeah, so we do not have time to go about our personalities, you know, our upbringing, because those things shape our, you know,
how we grew up
and all that. But let me just talk about education, because you know, today we are in a world that people are. You could find that, like me, I grew up more technical, more science oriented. My wife is a bit not science oriented, but arts. You know, counseling, can I feel you, kind of stuff.
Let's talk.
That. And you know, the society have certain careers that are so lucrative. And so maybe you are a doctor and feeling like, okay, I'm a doctor, I'm the person who knows it all. And you look down on your wife who is a teacher, and you're just thinking, what does a teacher know compared to a doctor? But we are saying the differences are supposed to complement one another, so that what I do not have, Liz will actually bring it to complement me. And that's why the Bible tells us 2 are better than 1. Because when one is deficient in one area, then the other one is supposed to bring it up. We are not supposed to be in competition in any way. Neither are we supposed to be threatened by any of our spouses' greatness or achievement. But because they have that greatness, that's why we have. Now, many of us have this in theory, but practically it eats us. And that's why we are talking about this thing at this level. Even though we should have gone or past it, but it still creeps in and we still find ourselves back on this thing. So we must accept that difference. There is a quote here that I really loved and I thought we would go through it. It's by this man called Devon. Devon said, marriage isn't perfect. It is not a perfect balance. It is actually the art of balancing. There are seasons that you shoulder more and other seasons that you'll actually take less. Sometimes your relationship will be split 50-50. Other times, to your surprise, it will be 10-90 or even 5-95. So be flexible. This may be very hard and it could be very challenging, but you still have to understand that, you know what, because of this, sometimes your wife or your husband could be going through maybe a challenge. Then because of the challenges going through, you have to take more. For example, your wife is sick or paralyzed. I know of a brother who, when the wife was sick, the wife was actually paralyzed, he would literally carry, they were staying in a storage house, and he would carry the wife from ground floor to 5th floor. He would literally do everything at that particular time. So it is not meant, this might actually look unfair at times. And so when we got married, there was a lot of competition in our marriage. And I was just feeling like, man, there's a time we even made a timetable that, okay, from Monday to Tuesday to Wednesday, I'm the one cooking or making the bed, then we changed. Then and so now the problem would come when the other person would not do what we had agreed to. I remember going for discipling time and being put and man, what is happening? And I was the one who was very keen on the timetable because I realized that I just need some space. Okay, I do not know, maybe for some of us that works. And again, even as we are sharing, remember we are sharing what we've gone through. Some of us maybe having a timetable might perfectly work for you. And that's okay, be my guest. But for us, that really did not work. And that's why it's good to know what is it that works for you. Sometimes you can go to, somebody's house and you actually see, and the man is busy in the kitchen, he's washing, and then you go back home, a sister, and you're saying, no, me, I think this is unfair. My husband never gets to the kitchen. And no, I think I have a problem. Why can't you be like other men? Let me tell you, marriage cannot be split 50-50 all the time. There are times when it is very imbalanced. For what reason? I like his conclusion here. But marriage isn't meant to be fair all the time. It can't be. It can only be fair in the long run. How about that? That it is not now. Remember, when we were defining marriage, we are saying that it is a dream. And this dream is huge and bigger than all of us. This is a dream that extends into generations to come. You have your children, your grandchildren, your children's grandchildren, and your children's children's grandchildren. They will all come from your lineage. That is the dream. It is bigger than you. And finally, that with all that lineage, we can all make it to heaven. And so, we cannot. When we got married, I was usually worked up because I'm the kind of person who like things very arranged, very organized. As in, if you go under the bed and there are slippers, there is a straight line. You'd even want to put a ruler. You know, okay, I don't put a ruler, but I think because of the way I've been grown up, my perspective, and I just see the line and it's distorted. And there are times when my wife would come and spread the bed, and before she realizes I've come and I've changed, I've redone it because the pillow was not put straight the way it was supposed to be, and the blanket, and there is just a way that they were not organized so well, and my life was like, man. So, but anyway, thank God that over the times, we've got to realize that there are battles to fight and there are battles to let go. I think that is also very key in marriage. You cannot make everything an issue. When my wife used to tell me, man, sweet, can we talk? Hey, I'm like, so easy talks. Until when will we be talking? Because majority of the men do not want the talks. And when you just say, let's talk, you've scared the guy. The guy is wondering, Sasa, what did I do? What is it that I did that is making things turn on me just like this? But remember, it is on the long run. Things might look unfair now. You have certain qualities that you bring on the table. You know, some of us are keen on certain things. You cannot force your spouse to also be keen on those things that you are keen on. Yeah. You be keen and cover for her on that one. I strongly believe that she's also keen on other things, and she covers us on that. My wife is very keen on food, on the particulars. When we go now to the supermarket, she looks at the date, the expiry. Every time she tells me, so did you look at the expiry of the bread? And I'm like, okay, me, I just smell. If it is smelling nice, let's go home with it. What is this? Some of those, in fact, and those manufacturers, they hide those, those expiry dates you are not. But you see, because of that, my wife protects me because we don't eat stale food or anything. And so it's a difference that I benefit, and you'll actually realize it if you are keen enough that you benefit on almost all of those strengths that they have, and you complement on the weaknesses.
Yeah, complementing each other is very, very important. And I think just realizing that, yes, we are very different people, but we can be able to complement each other, and not to go with, I did this yesterday, why don't you do it? Mm-hmm. But where we can be able to just do it, you know? Yeah. We are not in a competition. Exactly. If I find clothes not where they were supposed to be, yeah, I pick them, yeah, you know, because I think that can also be the issue. You know, I've kept saying we need to put the socks here, or yeah, we need to put the dirty clothes here, yeah, you know, but just being okay and deciding, you know what, okay, you know, I'll mention it, but it doesn't have to be an issue every time, because I think for a long time we would have to keep sitting down, you know, yeah, you know, we have to, everything is a case, it is not worth it. Yeah. You know, there are things to let go. There are things to, yes, you know, there are those things that we need to talk about. One of the things we say is, if it's sinful, then we need to talk about it. Exactly. But there are things to actually, they're habits, and we can just let go and be okay with it and complement each other.
And also just to realize that, you know what, the way God created us, there are certain things that you can do better, and there are certain things that the other person can do better. For example, okay, in my house, I'm the one who closes all the doors. Yeah. Before I go to sleep, I close all the doors. You know, there are sometimes I felt like, what do you guys, you have to close the door. Let me tell you, God forbid, but the day that I'll not be there, they will raise up to the occasion. Now that I'm there, it is my turn to serve. I'm keen, I'm the one, you know, I always say, the net, I'm the one who pulls the net all the time. The time I don't pull the net, we sleep without, with a mosquito, and I'm the first one who is beaten the hardest. So I wake up in the middle of the night, and I go and pull the net. And I say, okay, sweet, don't worry about the net. I'll fix it as long as I'm alive. The day I'll be gone, okay, you'll deal with that. And I believe there are many other things, so that these things not bring our problems. Let each and every one of us get our space and utilize our differences, instead of using those differences to pin each other down and saying, why are you guys so careless? Why are you not doing this? If you find things are thrown haphazardly, talk about them, yeah, but pick them up, because that's just your lot in that. Yeah, you know, most people separate because of these issues. And let me tell you something about that. When you separate because of some of these things, you will get another spouse, because there are very many people out there waiting for people like you. And you might not go through the same problems that you are going through, because that person is also different. So it is true. But let me tell you, you will inherit another pack of problems on the other side. And you will actually just say, better the devil I know than the angel that you do not know. Because that is just human beings. They have strengths and they have weaknesses.
Yeah.
Now, the final thing here is the hardest, that just accept that there are certain things that will never change.
Yeah.
Now, that is tough.
Mm.
And where we are getting to, especially right now, after staying for 15 years, there are certain fights that should all long be gone. We cannot be fighting about them. To just realize that there are things you can never change.
Yeah.
And I hope we had said that, you know what, the greatest thing that can change is you.
Yeah.
You are the one who can change. You know, when you got married, you come with this mentality that I would want to change ABCD. I would want my husband who is this, I would want my wife who is this, but there are certain things that can just never change. And so we just have to live it. If you got married to a short man, that will never change.
Yeah.
You better love the short man. Yeah. Otherwise, he will never grow tall. Yeah. If you got married to a short lady, that is the lady you got married to. If you got married to a lady with a long hair, dark hair, man, the hair can only reduce and be bald and become white, but it will never change. So there are things that will never change. And that goes into personalities, and that goes into habits. And so what do we do? Accept them and love them.
Yeah, some habits. One of the things we are saying is there are things that might never change. Definitely not the sinful things, because the sinful things we can all change. But there are some things that, like maybe the way someone, what they love eating, you know, Mike loves fish. I can never change that about him. You know,
I can only be malnourished. Instead of having 10,
you know,
in a month, maybe we have 5.
Yeah, exactly. You know, there are things that can never change. But, and so we need to accept it and accept the person that this is who I got married to. And so I want to even enjoy, you know, I want to enjoy even whatever it is that he loves doing, or some of those things you can be able to even join in. But there are things that cannot change, and we just need to accept. Yeah.
Our final task is here. List 3 differences between you. What challenges have you had as a result of these differences? How have these challenged us as a family, as a couple over the years? Now, it is also important to recognize what fruits have we enjoyed as a result of our differences. I believe by right now, there are businesses that have gone sour because of your differences, but there are also businesses that have really thrived. There is a car that you guys bought and you just felt like, wow, that was a right decision. Even though you opposed your wife about it, but finally you followed her and it went very well. You will go get several of them. It's good to know and evaluate, and this will really be great. And then finally, you can also get to see if there are any surprises about that. And so in conclusion, we just need to say that acceptance is key. There is so much, there are whole lots of books on acceptance. Acceptance is key. It is important to accept yourself. It is important to accept your marriage. It is important to accept that both of you have equal shares in that marriage. There is nobody who is lesser. We all only have different responsibilities in our marriages. It is important to accept that we are different and appreciate those differences. It is important to accept that we express love so differently, and it is important to accept that whether you like it or not, there are certain things that will never change.
I think what I can say finally is accepting one another is very important, but also it's important for us to pray even to accept some things, because it's true, there are things that are hard, but when we pray, we need to involve God in our marriage, you know, especially about some of those things that we feel that, hey, it's hard for me to accept this, whether it's to accept self, whether it's to accept that I'm married, whether it's to accept that I'm different, you know, there are some of those things that maybe you feel like I wish you would change. Pray about those things, because God is the one again who can change each other. As we accept, it's our responsibility is to accept, but God can be able to change some of those situations. Yeah, so thanks so much. It was really nice to be able to be here to share our lives. Hope it's some of those things you might not even relate with them. You can be able to see what is it that works for us, because again, every marriage is unique. Every marriage has what can work for them. So as we're sharing what works for us or what we are working on, you know, and you can be able to actually sit down with your spouse and see what is it that will be able to work for us. Yeah, so thanks so much. We continue praying for one another. You could pray for us as we also battle through this acceptance, and God will see us through. Thanks.
Amen. At this particular time, I would like to hand it over to the mourners so that they can take us in the next session, as they also fill in the gaps that might have been left.
Mighty God, hallowed be the name. Faithful God, you are worthy to receive all the praise. For you alone, you're the air that I breathe, the song that I sing. You're the lover of my soul. With you, there is no impossibility. With you, I can move the mountain. Whatever you say will surely come to pass. At the mention of your name, every knee must bow.